There are 3 ways in how I fixed my game from being a game that I'm not really in love with to a game I'm very glad will be part of Orangepixel when I release it next month. Hey, I'm Pascal from Orangepixel. Welcome to another video. For the new viewers, let me give you a lowdown on regulators in 15 seconds. Started development in 2021, had a plan 9 to 12 months. Got funded in 2023 by mid-game funding. So I released Gauntlet of Power in 2024 to keep Orangepixel floating. And now it's time to wrap up work on regulators. So I started on the wrap up 2 weeks ago. Check out last week's video. I wasn't feeling the game, wasn't liking it. Something had to be fixed and changed. And there are 3 things that did it. Let's talk about those after the intro. Okay, the most important fix for this game feel. Everybody talks about it, game designers know about it, but every now and then you create a game and you forget about it, or it's not working, or you're missing a couple of simple things that can really make the game feel better. And in this case it was the movement of the main character. I've been playing a couple of other top-down shooters just to see what they were doing that I was missing or lacking and was very easy to add to my game. So player movement changed from being a press the button, you start running, release the button, you stop running, to having a little inertia to the player, which it makes for less natural and realistic movement, but it does make more fun and gives a good feeling to the movement. Another thing I added was camera. It now moves along with your aiming. So when you're now aiming at a certain direction, the camera will slowly move towards that direction. I noticed a lot of top-down shooters, the good ones, did that, and I didn't have it in my game. Very easy to add, and it just adds so much extra to the game. You now get to see enemies that are slightly out of reach normally, but you can just pan the camera towards it and aim there and shoot there. It just makes more sense, and it gives that extra feeling that I was missing in the game. Now things like bullet impacts were also changed, so now that a bullet hits something, there's a little dust there, there's a little bit of screen shake. You can turn it off for those that hate it or get messy in their head because of screen shake. I love it, and a lot of people that play shooters love it. So it's very subtle, but it's there. So bullet impacts now really make an impact, which the player will notice, and again adds to that whole feeling. Also, I very much dumped down the enemy opponents. I made them a lot dumber than they were. So I invested a lot of time into getting enemy interesting, so that they can actually chase you and move you around. That's not really in the best interest of the player or the game at some point. It works a lot better with very simple slingshot AI. So they know which direction you are, they will catapult themselves towards you with a certain velocity, and that velocity then slows down over time. They will take a new decision and slingshot towards you. And this just makes it a lot easier for the player to understand what's going on screen. What are these guys going to do? They are going to move from their point to me. In your subconscious you will understand how they move, and it just makes it a lot easier to take out these enemies. So removed some intelligence there, pathfinding and all that stuff. Now the bonus here is that it's also a lot better for the processor. There's less stuff to do, so it becomes a lot easier to probably port this one to mobile at some point as well, because there were a lot of things going on. I wasn't certain this would actually run on a phone. Now I'm much more confident, and also for a Switch version in the future it should be a lot easier. And finally, just a lot of balancing, changing health points, speed, movement speed, strength in weapons of both player and enemy. All those things have been fine-tuned and tweaked so that it now feels a lot better. So yeah, a lot of things for the feeling of the game, which brings me to the second solution. And that's getting back to my brand, my Orangepixel brand, but also simplifying the game. Well, let me explain those 2 things, because they might not be as apparent, but it's something that I've been thinking about the last couple of months, so I can hopefully explain it a little bit. So the simplifying of the game is fairly simple to explain. There was a lot of things going on, but also because of that I started creating a bigger game. But I'm just one guy, I'm not a big company, and I think if you try to create a big game with a lot of things in there, players' expectation will also move towards a certain point. that I probably cannot deliver on being a solo game developer. Let's face it, AAA games at the top of the market are created by 300, 400, 500 people at the time. Not all of them full-time working on it, but Q&A, translation, localization, 3D animators, 3D modelers, skin texture creators, developers, programmers, a tool creator. The list goes on and on and on. This is Orangepixel. I cannot match with those. Now, not everything is AAA. We also have AA, I guess we're calling it, or mid-tier indie developers, which are also funded by publishers and already have a team of maybe 20 people. They're making smaller games than AAA, but obviously their polish, the shine on their games, the content that is there, it's a lot more than, again, this office can provide. So I have to focus on the bracket, the tier, the level that I'm pretty good at. I've been doing it for 20 years and it has been working, except I started creating bigger games. And I think that's where it all fails. I should start dim down and go back to the smaller games. Example is Heroes of Loot, Gauntlet of Power, released last year. The game was profitable within 3 months of sale on PC. It's not huge numbers, but it makes sense to create games like that. Still, the replay value is there. All my games have long replay value because I do a lot of procedural generation to make sure that there is always content there, and if you love the game, you can keep playing it for many hours and sometimes even many years. That game was just perfect, and I really designed and developed it with the idea that it has to be laser focused, small package that just adds a lot of extras but makes sense to be developed by just one guy. Now, the usual followers already know I'm working on my next game, Space Grunts 3. Again, going at it with the same idea as I did Gauntlet of Power. So it's very focused little tiny package, and that made development go so much faster because I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm creating, and I can add a lot of content to that very easy, but the core is very focused. And Regulators was everything except that. During development I had a lot of people check it out, play the demos, play early versions, and people look at videos, all those things, and there was always feedback coming. And feedback is good, except when you're not certain on what you're creating. And in this case, I was never focused on what this game was gonna be. I started out with one type of game, it mixed and moved into something else with a whole city, then that got removed again. This game never had this core loop or game design ready. Now, in the last 2 weeks, I decided to focus on what this game could be and what it already has, and just removed a lot of fluff, a lot of stuff that makes it look like it's a much bigger game, but it's not. Don't pretend you are a big or huge game. There's a lot of content here. There's a lot of hours of fun you're gonna have, and it's procedurally generated. Every game is gonna be different, but the core gameplay is a top-down shooter with a couple of extra things left and right, and I had to focus on that. Now let's go with a very clear example. Before you start a mission, there's a briefing which was 5 or 6 pages showing images and text alongside it. That's now 1 page, and every few missions there's a extra page before that to give you a little bit of a story, but it's just 1 image, 2, maybe 3 lines of text, and they get a single page of what the mission is gonna be. Seasoned players will quickly scan this highlighted words and know what to do, so they can skip this as well and just go and dive into the game. For new players, it still provides you with information on what to do and what to expect, and that should actually be enough, because again, the core mechanics is a top-down shooter, even though it has tactics and strategy going on if you want that as a player, and it has sub-games and mini-games and things like that. The core is pretty simple to understand, so it doesn't need all these extra things, because that also creates expectation for a player that there's more and more deep data and more deep strategy. There is strategy, it's not extremely deep. I cannot create or deliver that, and I should just face up to that. And that doesn't make the game less, it just makes the game more focused on a certain thing. And for me, it made the game very clear on what it is. I also made inventory and item usage much easier to understand. So now a lot of these item inventories will immediately activate when you pick them up. They will help you already during that mission, and they're gone after the mission, and you have to find them again in the next mission. This makes it a lot easier, because a lot of game sessions I was forgetting about the inventory myself. I know there's an inventory screen there and I was picking up items, but because they wouldn't be active, I didn't know what I was missing or what I should be using. So I had all these inventory items but never actually used them in my game. Now that they automatically activate, you do notice that I have this item, I want to find this on my next run, because this is making it a lot easier. I can now see enemies behind closed doors or in rooms that I haven't visited yet. I need to find these items on my next run. It makes it just a lot more easier and simple. So there is still an inventory in the game, but it now just for the 4 or 5 different items that you do use. Medikits, flash grenades, normal grenades, your gas mask and your K9 unit. And that brings me to the third point that just made this game go from something I'm not really in love with to something I played every night for the last week, at least, for at least an hour. And that's after having worked on it the whole day. I would still play it in the evening. Bug fixing. I mean, there weren't a lot of real bugs, game crashing bugs, but there were a lot of little tiny things that just needed a fix, that just were annoying to run into every time. Just weird stuff happening. I don't have examples now, but for those that have been on the Discord, there have been huge lists of bug fixes and changes going on the Regulator channel. Trello is linked to Discord, so all the things I do on a day will drop at the end of the day on the Discord of a certain game, depending on which game I've been working on. And it has been a long list of changes, fixes, things and improvements. All of them have been improvements, and that's the key part here. Now, bug fixing went a lot smoother because I was playing the game every night. I would make sure I have a new build ready on my Steam Deck, and then I would be playing it for 1 hour at least. And that's after working on it for 8 hours and having played a lot of sessions during work. But then in the evening, I would still like to dive into it and would write down a bunch of things that I ran into that I thought could be done better and put it on my Trello. The next day I would dive into it. So right now the game is really at a place that I'm very happy with. It fits right in with all my other games. A few weeks ago I was at the state that yeah, I'm gonna release the game, but I'm not gonna look at it again. I'm not happy with what it is. Every now and then you just have a project like that. But now 2 weeks later, working on it day in day out, this is an effing good game. Hope people will try it for what it is. It's a top-down shooter, but you have a team moving around with you, doing tasks, and when they level up, you can teach them new tasks so they can actually do things for you, like dispose of mines, open vaults. Just the task you normally do yourself. As soon as they level up, they can be taught these things, or you can give them more health, more defense, more aiming, various skills, and they will become more and more a team for you, and you will actually want to keep them alive, because if they die having learned all these skills, you get assigned a new rookie that knows nothing, and in later levels that's going to be a painful thing to have. You rather have somebody alongside you that actually does a lot of things for you. Now besides that, there's also like the task I just mentioned, cracking safes. Every level has a mission. So there is a rescue a hostage, take down specific enemies that are spread around the area that you're in, cracking safes, placing detonation at certain areas and then making sure you get out of that building before it explodes, hacking a computer. There's just a lot of things in the game. Now these were all in the game already, haven't touched them at all, they were fine. But now they are a very good addition to what otherwise would be a top-down shooter. Now it's a top-down shooter with strategy and extra features and things to do. And I think that makes it a very interesting and unique game, but we'll see how people look at it when it launches in May next month. Still have 2 weeks. It's now April 14th as I'm recording this. I have about 2 weeks to wrap up the work on it. I'll also ask for a couple of playtesters on the Discord, preferably people that like top-down shooters, because that's what this game is. If you do not like a top-down shooter, no point in testing it out, because I'm not looking for feedback anymore. I've listened to too much feedback over the last couple of years that just stretched this game in all directions it shouldn't have. I'm now very clear on what this game is and how I like it. and that's how it's going to be released, preferably without bugs, and for that I will need some testers. So we'll call out and shout out for that on the Discord when I'm ready. That's always a little thing. In theory I'm ready for that, but it's always a little bit nerve-wracking to say to people, I think I'm done with the game, come test it, and then they will maybe run into a lot of things that should be fixed or changed. That's a nerve-wracking thing, but I'll get over it, and at that point I'll have some people play test it on Steam. Can't wait to create a trailer for it. Now that there's a bunch of things changed, I think I'm at the point that I can create a trailer for it without certain things suddenly looking different in the game than they do in the trailer. So that's next on the to-do list in the next couple of weeks. Create a trailer and then set a date for release. All right, and that wraps up the video. So yeah, a lot of progress on regulators. Sorry if this was a little bit rambly, but there's just so many things. To summarize it, the 3 points that helped me shape this game into what it is now in just 2 weeks time, after of course having a lot of features in there, but not a game that felt like it was mine. Point 1, game feel. 2, simplifying, or at least creating the game that you can create and deliver on. And the final thing to make your game good is very easy. Bug fixing. Make sure it doesn't do weird or stupid stuff. Make sure it just works and does what it says on the package. A fun game, as few bugs as possible. And having fixed those 3 things, I'm now very happy with this game. So that's it for this week's video. I'd like to thank you for watching it. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment below. If you're a regular viewer and you have nothing useful to add to this video, but you would like to help me get this video noticed by the algorithm, drop the comment, game feel. That's an important thing, game feel. So drop that in the comments below, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye.